How's it going, everybody? JT here. It's good to have everybody along for the ride this Friday the 13th. Dun, dun, dun.
We have pizzas. We have 300 hamburgers.
It's terrifying. Terrifying. Friday the 13th. I've heard we're going to have more than one Friday the 13th this year. Anyway, so it's good to have you guys for this 140th episode of the Daily Dudes podcast. You can follow along on Discord if you want to join us on the EV Mavericks Discord. You can head to dailydoots.com, designed and produced by our very own Hani Abu. This weekly Doots live stream is all about showcasing the best of the week from the daily general discussion on our Ethereum. It's a read-along reaction series. If you want to follow along, you can. Otherwise, just listen in. I'll read Reddit so you don't have to. All of the contributors include Tricky Troll, that capture every day's Doots, and the A word for curating this most beloved weekly list. I never read these out ahead of time. And if you're new here, we'd love for you to join us on Reddit, on the R Ethereum daily general discussion. It's a great place to hang out when your mom's not hanging out with you in your basement. All right, so we'd love to have you over there. All right, we're going to get right into it. I don't have a guest for today, at least not yet anyway. I did put the Zoom link out to a couple of people. We'll see if they can join or not. No big deal if they can't. I'm hanging with you on X and on Twitch and on YouTube. And if you want to jump into the audience or jump up on stage here at Discord, you can find the EV Mavericks Discord. All of that's available at dailydoots.com. All right, well, let's dive right into our rich list for this week. Aiden Cairo at 118, Ethical Trade at 119, Hani Abu at 134, Crypto Wow Currency at 135, JS Tears at 145, Tricky Troll at 170, Benito 2030 at 180, Super Fizz at 241. I just saw his lovely face this morning. Logri the Bard at 256, and Harog at the top of the heap at 314. I think that dude got like 3 or 4 Doots this last week. Also should point out, this last week we had 3 first-time Dooters in a single daily. So I feel like some people are coming over to Reddit that might be new to the Ethereum world and crypto in general. So we're really happy that you joined us. And look, Tricky Troll made you famous. We have, at this count right now, we have 1,296 Dooters that have made the list at least one time. That's incredible. The list is growing. There's no doubt about it. All right. So with that, let's jump right into our episode here, 140. Morning roundup comes to us. Let's see. We got How Are You Today chimes in. Ethereum Frank the Tank gives us a dismal price at 1928, but we be pumping, fam. We be pumping. And user 10buck9 gives us a 2918 on the ratio. Our weekly haiku courtesy of JS Tears. More wallet safeguards. Security House of Cards. Glamsterdam regards. How does he do it, JS Tears? How does he do it? Don't forget to check out Ethereal News by AB Kothup. He's on episode number 11. Some of the headlines this week for Ethereal News: BlackRock buildable tradable via Uniswap X. How about that? So BlackRock's got stuff that's trading on Uniswap now. Wow. ENS is staying on the mainnet. That's really big news. There was speculation they were not going to be on mainnet, but they are staying on mainnet. And why wouldn't you? All right. Solidity Developer Survey is out. You can check out the rest of those headlines and more at ethereal.news. Make sure you subscribe. And thanks so much to AB Kothup for producing that. Also, if you haven't checked out Grow the Pie, usually we get a update from ETHWave himself coming in and showing us some of the weekly engagement across the ecosystem and what's going on in the Ethereum world. Growthepie.com. Really happy that they are along for the ride. Our shitpost of the week comes to us by way of Mulberry Acceptable 39. Mulberry Acceptable 39 looks like a Dooter number 1 for the week. How did they get on that list? That's amazing. Let me guess. Buy the dip. Oh my gosh. Yes. Definitely buy the dip. User Harog compares the current throughput of different L2s. Harog is our number 1 person of the week on the Daily Doots rich list. It looks like Jasper the Friendly Ghost is getting his hand up in the audience. Jasper the Friendly Ghost, you're on stage now. Hey, if you want, I can shoot you a link to the Zoom link if you want to jump on camera. Do you have your hair done?
No, I literally just stepped out of the shower. I am currently in a towel, but I did want to come by, express my love, and give a quick shout out because this week, Saturn 1 goes live.
Let's go.
Rocket Pool. That's
Jasper.
right. Biggest.
Yes. Go ahead. No, I'm sorry. I'll shut up here in a second. I'm so glad, like, you've made my day. I got to see Super Fizz 20 minutes ago, and now you're on the stage on the EV Mavericks Daily Dudes podcast. Please fill us in on how important the Saturn upgrade is on the rocket pool.
By far, this is the most important upgrade in rocket pool history. This is a complete rewrite of the entire protocol from the ground up, completely transforming how the protocol manages validators, the tokenomics, everything that we've learned from roughly 5 years of the protocol being live is now being put into this one upgrade to set the stage for really, the next 100 years of rocket pool's existence on Ethereum. Some major points are there is going to be a new system for mini pool management, which will require nodes to exit and re-enter, but you get access to 4 ETH mini pools, now called mega pools, increased APR, and an RPL fee switch where your actual rewards can vary from a 1.3x roughly all the way up to over a 2x normal staking, solo staking APR, depending on how much RPL you have staked and how much ETH is in the protocol. This upgrade revitalizes and does away with the old tokenomics, which had been a severe issue in the history of Rocket Pool. There is no RPL requirement. You can join without staking it, but if you do decide to stake it, you now get a share of the protocol's earnings of ETH in ETH. This realigns a lot of the broken incentives around the protocol and should hopefully set us up to be, like the Coke and Pepsi with Lido CSM for the foreseeable future.
This is so exciting. And I don't know if you can see, but I'm sharing my screen on the stream right here. You can go to saturn.rocketpool.net and learn all about it. Are there any other resources you recommend beyond that?
Yep. So Mav, Nick Ashley, community manager for Rocket Pool, put out a great Medium article on the Rocket Pool forum all about Saturn 1. This is going to be your deep dive into what you need to know as a node operator, as an RETH holder, as just a fan of decentralization. Everything you need to know is in that article. And there was also a Defiant article released, and wink, wink, nudge, nudge, my former friends over at Bankless might be having a little special episode coming out soon.
Oh, well, fantastic. Yeah. And, we could host one as well with you. You know what, Jasper, let's do this. We'll do a special episode and do a deep dive with this upgrade. If you have time, maybe next week, maybe we could do something during the weekdays and just do a special episode dedicated to the Rocket Pool community.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I'll definitely be in touch. Thank you for allowing me up on the stage to give that little quick shout out. Wishing all the EV Mavericks the best. I've really been enjoying being more active in the EV Maverick Discord. It's been great.
We're damn glad you're here, man, and I really appreciate you hopping in today. That was just exquisite timing, and I'll let you get back to getting your hair did. So I appreciate you stepping up on stage. Thank you so much.
Much love.
Yeah, big hugs to Jasper the Friendly Ghost from the Rocket Pool community with that amazing. The Saturn upgrade is really going to be special, and I don't think it should be understated at all. This is the biggest upgrade that community has had since launch. Yeah, there's so much to go over with this. I'd love to do a special episode with Jasper and try to help get the word out on the Rocket Pool project. It's such a cool It's such a cool way to do Ethereum staking, and if you don't have a Rocket Pool node set up, you should give it a shot. We actually did an entire video series over a year ago, probably almost 2 years ago by now. It's deprecated because the way things are set up now is different than what the video had, but I'm eternally grateful to the Rocket Pool community for giving me some work in that regard. And we had a good team of people that were helping to guide the technical aspects of setting up the node. And we were trying to make it in a very user-friendly visual way. So I'm eternally grateful to that community for putting some money in my pocket and making some meaningful work. And I look forward to doing it again someday. I loved doing that, setting up the set and everything. It was a lot of work, but man, I really enjoyed it. All right. Well, very good. That was such a surprise. I'm so glad that Jasper came in. Thank you so much again. All right, let's see. So this is going back to the Doots list here. Harog compares the current throughput of different L2s. Oh, look who else is joining the stage here. Logri the Bard, my man. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. You just bumped up the podcast 2 hours. I'm like, wait, what? Okay, let me see if I can get kids to school and back and get online.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was just gonna be a solo show, and then all of a sudden, like before we went live, Super Fizz was on stage. He's like, I gotta go to lunch or whatever excuse he have. I'm gonna try to reel him back in, and then Jasper shows up, and then now you're on stage. So yeah, life is good.
Let me see if I can go wrangle a guest real quick and just get someone to drop in.
Yeah, put in a call to the big man. Hey, we got a new leader. Well, they are already in leadership. Bastion at the EF. If you want to see if he's around, it's cool. There's so many changes coming, and it looks pretty positive. I've always eternal bull, and it's so cool. Like just even this community. What's the running joke? Ethereum is just 300 people. So it's just neat that there's so many connections that could be made. It's fantastic. All right. Harald compares the current throughput of different L2s. This is take 3 on this post. Due to the whole L2 discussions after Vitalik's post, I looked a bit closer at the L2 Beat website, more specifically, the activity charts. I was positively surprised to see the level of activity all the different L2s have. Their current user operations per second numbers, or UOPS, which is relatively close to their TPS numbers, averaged over a whole day. Here's the following. Lighter has 3,060 UOPS. Base has 144. Arbitrum 66. World Chain 29. OP Optimism 26, Fuel Ignition 24, Mega ETH 22, Sonium, which is the Sony Layer 2, has 22 UOPS. Celo has 20 UOPS, and Unichain has 16 UOPS. As a comparison, Ethereum mainnet did 29 UOPS yesterday. This means quite a few L2s have now a sizable number of transactions on them. Just a year ago, Ethereum mainnet did around 15 UOPS, which is similar to what Unichain did yesterday. Some of the increased activity is definitely due to the ETH price going down, which forces people to position themselves better and arbitragers to arbitrage the prices. This is very true for Arbitrum, and a bit as well for Base and Unichain. They have an increased activity in the last 2 weeks. For all the other L2s, I do not see a strong increase in the last 2 weeks, but a rather slow and steady growth over a long time. Not sure if some activity for Unichain can be explained by yield farming, though. Mega ETH has, as far as I know, still not fully launched yet. So I guess the UOPS numbers for Mega ETH are not really organic. Mega ETH recently did a speed test, and as far as I have seen, they easily managed to do 20,000 TPS for several days, with short spikes way above these numbers. So they have a lot of room to grow if they find demand for the block space. What surprised me most with these numbers is that it isn't just Base and Arbitrum now, even though they are still high up in the UOPS rankings, but chains I have never used, like World Chain, fuel ignition, Sonium, and Celo seem to have a consistent and growing user base. I'm not really sure what people do on these L2s, but they seem to be doing something there. A year ago, only Base, Arbitrum, and Tycho mostly incentivized farming. Optimism Mainnet and WorldChain even had UOPS over 15. But now we have quite a few more. So to me, it looks like various L2s have been finding their niches in 2025 and are growing from there. Yeah, that's incredible numbers. 29 UOPS on mainnet yesterday. I mean, you take just all this aggregate activity. This is per second. I mean, there's somebody doing something out there on those things. I feel like the news that you see on X is the tip of the iceberg of like all these other companies and what's actually going on. Like there's just too many things going on.
There's just a lot of stablecoin activity, a lot of arbitrage on the Ethereum mainnet. You even just get a bunch of stablecoin activity, which is dust attacks, because the chain is so cheap right now. You can afford to do that. So you'll send one stablecoin transaction, and then you'll get like 5 other token transactions, either with a fake USDC or like a tenth of a penny of real USDC or something that hit your address. And so that's all aggregate transactions, right?
Yeah, that's
the
fair.
chain doesn't care, but it hits all the numbers. You get one big move on mainnet, like the ETH price, and then that price from Binance or something has to rebalance to every other exchange. So you get corresponding price action on KuCoin or something, but that creates a token imbalance in the wallets. And so then they start withdrawing from both exchanges of the different types to sort of rebalance the amount of USDC versus ETH they have on both exchange addresses. So that creates a flurry of sends, and then also you get all the DEX activity as you do all the arbitrage loops and everything, and basically have to make everything more efficient price everywhere. That's not bad activity. It's just, one event, a single big buy of 1,000 ETH on Binance will create 1,000 transactions.
Yeah, you're right about all the dusting, and guess what? Spam is back. Like spam transactions, the people that tried to do
they
all
made
this.
It so cheap that spam is back in style.
That's right. We're back, baby. It's so crazy because that was like kind of a novel thing about scammers in blockchain space, particularly in the early days of Ethereum, when the smart contract, it was going to cost those people something to try and pull off, attacks. With now, I mean, it's cheap, and it's kind of like, man, you almost want more transaction gas fees, but you know what? We got to have workarounds for all of that stuff, and I think lower fees obviously is still the better play long term. So yeah, interesting. Yeah, it is kind of fun to see like just the amount of activity that's being spread out across all those different networks, and and they still get that main layer 1 security. Okay, moving on. Good. WSB. This is a great username. WSB, I'm guessing that means Wall Street Bets Degen number 9999, digs up a theory about the 1010 crash this week. Wow. Alexis Kef finds more details from the source. So these two people are duded this week. Let's see. WSB Degen is a duder number 1. This is a duder number 1. First time duder making it to the weekly show. Congrats to you. And Alexis Kef has been around for a very long time. Duder 87. All right. So good. Let's see here. It seems like WSB Degen writes, it seems like Tom is insinuating that the recent 40% crash is due to the unwind of silver blowing up. One of his replies includes a tweet, which is guessing with some circumstantial evidence that some hedge fund from Hong Kong got blown up by silver trading and had to liquidate IBIT holdings. So that crashed BTC and along with it, Ethereum. Alexis Kef says, I just saw this too. I'll copy and paste some info below. let's open up the info below. It shows that it looks like a tweet here. D. Nineman says, Eigenman, was sent a pretty in-depth report on what's driving the crypto unwind. Short version, large non-crypto entity likely based in Hong Kong was running a JPY, is that Japanese yen, carry trade funding into leveraged IBIT options and Binance positions and precious metals. Oh, October 10 blew a hole in the balance sheet, 19.16 billion in crypto liquidations. Pour one out, the largest single day ever. Prime broker granted roughly 90 days. Entity doubled down on the PM recovery trade. Warsh nomination destroyed it. Gold down 11%, silver down 31%, now underwater on all legs. February 5th was the force unwind. IBIT did 10.7 billion in volume, 900 million in options premium, both all-time records. Gosh. Okay, fine.
I personally give this one a lot more credence because I've asked around, talked to Wintermute, talked to other market makers, and while I can describe mechanisms by which they would be hurt, they, at least privately, all claim that they weren't overly affected by the 1010 errors, right? The Binance level errors. So you have to ask who got blown up and why. And the IBIT volume really, it's an abnormality, right? In the chart, it really that's way more volume than they'd usually have, and so that says that someone that is not our usual crypto ecosystem player got hit real hard, right? And that's why we're all just going like, who is it? I don't know. It's not like Jump Capital. It's not like Wintermute. It's not like anyone that we know, right?
Logri, just to be clear, you support this thesis.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
There is some company probably out of China or somewhere outside of the crypto sphere that I interact with that got force liquidated. And where they got force liquidated was on IBIT. And that explains why we're all just kind of scratching our head going, so I know the mechanism by which all the damage was done on 1010, but I don't know who got blown up. And we're just kind of like, everyone I can talk to says they're fine. So who is a big player in the globe that isn't in our network? Well, it's probably someone from like India or Japan or China or something. This theory says China specifically.
Gotcha.
And then the timing of the silver going down corresponding with a second wave of that makes a lot of sense too. Basically when silver dropped, you ask, why does silver dropping mean that Ethereum dropped so much more? Ethereum didn't go up so much more. So what's going on, right? Well, Bitcoin was going down. It drags Ethereum down with it. We have more leverage because we have all the fun DeFi tools to do that leverage with. So Bitcoin goes down, we go down more. And then why is Bitcoin going down? Because they're liquidating these IBIT holdings because they got blown up on a silver leverage trade. Right? So you put it together, and yeah, it's a little tinfoil hattery, but it's really amongst the best. There's a lot of circumstantial evidence to this theory if you dig into it.
Well, what's crazy about that move is that it's not more self-evident what caused it. It's like the Titanic went down and nobody reported it. That there was even a ship that was lost.
I was just waiting for some company to have to report on their quarterly whatever report that, by the way, they got blown up for $100 billion in crypto. And that just didn't happen. So who is it? Well, it can be someone that doesn't have to report quarterly earnings to the U.S., obviously, right?
Good point.
So that could be what we're seeing, is just we're waiting for the body to float to the surface. When something dies, the gas bubbles have to build up for a while before it's going to float up. We're just waiting for the forced unwind and the margin call systems to make this person cry foul, right? To make this person admit that they're blown up. But these things and the culture of reporting in China is substantially different.
Jasper, the friendly ghost, chiming in on Discord. It reads, it's interesting that IBIT only had 400 million in net outflows that day. And next, I think the theory is correct, but institutions bought the sales heavily, incredibly high volume that day.
Yeah, extraordinary volume. And as you said, outflows, not what you'd expect. So we had a changing of the changeover of who's holding the inventory.
Yeah.
And that still comes out of what should have been buy pressure elsewhere, right? So that takes money out of coffers. Now who was a prospective buyer bought these low prices, and they're out of dry powder to go and bid the asset back up. So that leads to a longer recovery. Or it's something where like we crab for 6 months, like in 2018, then we crash down another 70%. Something like that could be fun.
Yeah, imagine an FTX like thing now compounding on top of that.
No, not even FTX type thing. Just like we go sideways.
Oh,
the unemployment figures turn bad, or something happens with Iran,
right,
or
like
whatever,
a macro thing,
and then we just plunge.
Yeah.
Actually, in 2018, in like December 2018, or whenever we dropped through the 400 floor, there was no macro event. We just got bored and then it crashed.
Yeah,
It just went sideways for a good long time at that 300, 400 level, and then poop. Well, I guess we're at 100.
Yeah. Well, just in general, I was listening to a investor trader guy or whoever. It was on the Bankless podcast, and he was talking about the wild ride of silver, gold, and then the crypto crash. But then also software as a service industries got hit really hard, like some of those big stocks. And his contention is that new software that can replace existing legacy software it may not be as good or polished, but it's going to be 90% cheaper due to AI. So on one hand, he's saying that like AI infrastructure stocks might be bubbling territory, but the new companies that are going to be produced that are utilizing it is what's going to replace some of the other software as a service industry. So he's just basically saying there's like three major things going on with, the debasement of US dollar, or at least the decline of it in Asia's buying metals. And now you see this kind of activity here where leverage on leverage of cross asset things and these big implosions. It's like, where are we going? Like, where does this all go? But hey, I'm here for the long run. It's kind of crazy that you're seeing these institutions diversify in ways that can impact multiple sectors at the same time. It's major deals. He was really interesting to listen to. Yeah. So, and then Alexis Kapp responded with a more in-depth report. This is all available at dailydoots.com if you want to check it out. But yeah, the way more detailed explanation that Alexis put up here had 5,000 likes and almost 1,000 retweets. And there's another one here that says if October 10th was the shot, then February 5th was the funeral. All right, so something about gamma squeezes. I'm not going to go into this because
it's the same theory we just described.
Okay, thank you.
With more mechanics.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm not going to attempt to try to go into that. And Logreed, that's why you're here, babe. All right. Thanks for that color. User Harald goes over the Nimbus bug. Dun, dun, dun. Tonight, one of the consensus clients called Nimbus had a bug and lost sync to the head of the chain. Consensus breaking bugs occur quite often. The last big one was Prism bug 2 months ago. Today's Nimbus incident meant that everyone using Nimbus could not attest anymore, and the node runners lost some income. But for the network, it wasn't really a big issue, thanks to client diversity. All right, the network did not really struggle in any meaningful way. What is more interesting, though, is that such an incident can give us insights in how many people use a certain client. Before the incident, attestation participation was around 99.8%. After the incident, the attestation participation dropped to 94.5% within 4 epochs or 25 minutes. Or in other words, it looks like that around 5% of all validators are exclusively using Nimbus as the consensus client. This fits very well with the numbers on clientdiversity.org, which says Nimbus usage is at around 4.58%. It is great to see that these estimations on clientdiversity.org are pretty accurate, as they are used in discussion about client diversity. Well, let's just open it up. Client diversity, right there. Diversify now. It shows you right down here. Consensus clients, and it's showing Nimbus at 1.55%. So it's down. Yeah. Okay. Lighthouse is number one, over 50%, barely by a hair. Prism at 24.54%, and so on. The source of the Nimbus bug are still unknown, but I'm sure we will hear about it in the coming days. Fixing the issue is also quite simple. Just restart your client. The aftermath of the incident was pretty harmless. Within 3 hours, participation was back over 99%, and now, 9 hours after the incident, participation is still slowly increasing as more and more node operators restart their clients. Yeah, that's like tech support level number one. When in doubt, restart. Well, rule number one is plug it in. Did you plug it in? My brother was an IT guy, worked for a internet service provider. And those were the two big things. Is it plugged in? Have you restarted? Thanks. That fixed it. Good. Glad we had that meeting. All right. Very good. User Spection updates us on their Lens app development. Spection is a Duder number one for the week. A Duder number one making it on the weekly show. That's two. Actually, that's three Duder number ones if you count the ship post of the week. I always like seeing new faces. Good to have you here. All right.
It's going to be a week.
It's a good week. Yeah. Hi again. I added some more features to my Lens app. Hey, Logri, tell us what a Lens app is.
Why asking me?
Is it a Lens protocol? Am I on the right path there?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mean, there's a couple different Lens apps. For me, when I think of Lens, I think of a Kubernetes Explorer, but there's a Lens app, and it's it's something like a Farcaster type thing. Okay,
good. That sums it up in my head. Appreciate it. There's a group messaging tab now. You can message anyone with a wallet address, ETH, Lens profile, or a Web3 bio. They will need to start a new group and send a message to themselves once. This will initialize their mailbox. I don't see a simple way to get push notifications, but the usual reactions, replies, pinning, and attachments will work. There's some extra features which will allow token transfers, contract calls, spam filters, large language model integration, and token gating. I think the group messaging should be stable for now. You'll notice the rest of the site is still under construction. Feel free to contribute to the chaos at 2op.vercel.network or .app. Okay. Interesting. So it's like a on-chain messaging client, looks like. That's neat. All right. Because I feel like that's one of the big things Ethereum was trying to solve is like a little bit of messaging, doing messaging on-chain effectively. So it looks like directionally that's where this person is going. Wish you the best. I might have to try to play around with this later on. If I hit wallet, so you connect your identity, sign and manage your stakes, your rewards, your signals. Interesting. Flood is like a community page, it looks like. And then there's channels. Hey, wow. That's kind of smooth. There's Flood right there. Moods, the mosh pit. Let's go to the mosh pit. It's been a minute. All right. And there's, looks like different Lens Metallica and the haircut. It's literally about heavy metal. Okay. And then you can have a treasury for the group. Oh, this is neat. Okay. There's a GM thread page. It looks like this must be like where your private messages are. Very cool. And that's a duder number one doing this stuff. Kudos to you, man. Nice job. Yeah, check it out. 2-op.vercel.network. dot vercel vercel dot app. And yeah, very cool. Nice job. Keep building, man. Benito 2030. Benito 2030 is on our rich list at the top of the heap, getting in that top 10, I believe, at 180. Maybe this is copium, but it might still be an interesting thought. Benito 2030 making the case for a more moderate bear market. The 2018 top was caused by two things. The general crypto hype. Y'all, I agree. Let's see. I got a, there it is. Yeah. Mainly driven by BTC, but obviously with huge spillover effects into lots of alts. The ICO craze that further increased demand and locked a lot of ETH and ICO treasuries. The 2021 top was caused by a crazy macro environment, which of course was the result of COVID. I think it's not a crazy thesis to say that both tops were too crazy and crypto shouldn't have gone up that much based on fundamentals. 2018 ended in a blow-off top. 2021 started with a crypto mania and ended with a double top, which was still a little higher than the local top in Q2. The corresponding bears with 90% and 80% drawdowns makes this more likely, in my opinion. This cycle is the first one where liquidity and special effects did not have a crazy positive influence on crypto's performance. Or in other words, this might be the first top based on fundamentals. Yes, we had events like 1010 that likely changed crypto's path, but not as much as ICOs or macro in 2021. What if 5K is the first fair top since Genesis? In the end, this would mean that the bear this cycle should also be more moderate, something a lot of people are expecting and have said. So nothing really new here. And maybe the lows are in after 60% down, which would be a huge improvement compared to the cycles beforehand. Where do you go with that? It does sound like copium. I do feel a little objection to this is the first fair top, because why would it be fair for ETH, but it was unfair when all the other things topped out, went absurdly higher? Like Bitcoin's top went way, way up there. So maybe there is some credence to maybe a softer landing for ETH because of a softer top for ETH. Like there's a compression dynamic in there that has to do with some fundamentals of token lockups, like Tom Lee coming in and scooping up 4 or 5 million coins or whatever it is. Like there's really just not a lot of coins on the market to sell, although they seem to keep finding coins to sell somehow.
There's plenty of exchange reserves.
Yeah, so I want to get my hopes up that the bottom is in, but I'm not surprised. I just feel like it's just Ethereum is the Charlie Brown of crypto in a way, like the football keeps getting pulled away.
Even people that like ETH, I don't know anyone that feels like they're in a hurry to buy back in huge amounts, right?
Right.
Not like anyone's like, oh my God, this is the opportunity of a lifetime buying here at 1800 or whatever, 2000. It's just people are like, yeah, I'll get out maybe in November. It's just I'm going to wait and see. There's not really a lot of confidence that there's a bottom. A lot of investors are even just kind of burned. Like ETH is no longer a investment that has a high expected return, and that's just a reputational thing that I don't know how you fix, right? Everyone has their theory as to why. I know.
Yeah.
Common one is just that like the merge and L2 narrative kind of destroyed ETH's value accrual role, right? All the L2 or parasite type arguments came out of the woodwork, says our ratio is plunging, we're tearing into ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But another theory is just that there's a lot of OGs and they took the exit liquidity this cycle, and there's a huge supply overhang and it's at least as big as Tom Lee's purchases. So he just created exit liquidity for a bunch of OGs OTC, and it didn't really impact the price like it should have.
Yeah.
Speculation on it impacted the price to get us up to 4K. But even that was just a ratio bounce, like a revert to mean. And we're well below the 8-year ratio average at this point too.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what's going to take to turn that around. We got to find a new buyer that wants to buy about 10 million ETH. It's, 2 Tom Lees. Good luck.
Yeah, fair point. Good luck. I do have a massive amount of respect for Tom Lee in the sense that there's no leverage in his product.
Nope, it's clean, and people are like, "Oh, he's going to go out of business if it goes all the way down." Like, no, he's got staking yield.
Yep,
he's got basically no operational costs. What do you think is going to drive him out of business? And the voters, the shareholders, they voted to give him a pay package, and they told him he was doing a great job when they had the chance to express their opinion. So he's not going to get ousted politically. He's not going. There's nothing wrong with the company financially. Even if they make a very low percentage on the ETH, like sub 2%, they have enough ETH there in terms of billions of dollars to easily make payroll. So, like, what do you think is going to drive them to sell? Because their thesis is never sell. So, and their thesis is they have a long time horizon on this transformation TradFi.
I just have a massive amount of respect for him. And I don't understand the hate that he gets. There's other people that are upset about their bags, and they think that it's up to Tom Lee to,
Oh, the thing they're upset about is Tom Lee said that the bags would go up, so they bought some ETH, and then the ETH didn't go up like Tom Lee said. So now he's a scammer and should go to jail.
That's right.
It's the same thing as ever, right?
That's ever.
You said you'd make me money and you didn't. You must be a criminal.
Right.
It's stupid, but that's just how the internet is.
And he's putting his money where his mouth is, and I don't see a lot of people doing that.
He put his reputation, and like, to his credit, between August and now, he has appeared on hundreds of different news channels and broadcast media in New York a lot, right?
Yeah.
He's on there, not even just with ETH, but just talking about his granny shots thing, talking about precious metals, talking about market movements in general.
Right.
And so he gets a lot of exposure, a lot of time, a lot of chances to plug ETH, a lot of chances to plug Bitcoin, right? And I wish we had more. I wish we had 10 people like him. I wish we had Joe Lubin out there pounding the airwaves nearly as hard as Tom Lee is, right? I wish we had Thomas or someone from the Ethereum Foundation making similar types of media rounding. I wish we had Etherealize. They seem to be focused on institutional adoption, and we need that as well. But I just wish we had kind of a public advocacy arm to curate and spread the good word, if you will, right? I need my Jehovah's Witnesses equivalent of Ethereum to go around and make ETH understood, because that is the most bullish thing. We have legitimate technology and a lot of good we can do for the world with it, if only people understood that.
Yeah, and I feel like there's a momentum machine behind Tom Lee, because it's not going to take a whole lot of rocket science to convince other big hands that it is a great investment, because of the fact there's no leverage and there is yield. And what if they imagine we get a soft bounce, all right? Imagine we get a soft landing, not a bounce, but a soft landing now, and we go sideways for a while, but the price starts to creep up, and there's that thing where it's like, oh, this thing is going to start to blow up. Well, the excitement begets more excitement when now we have all the kind of regulatory stuff in place where other players could do exactly what he did and just put down money, buy that native asset, no leverage. And like you said, it's a clean operation. You're not dealing with this kind of Michael Saylor MicroStrategy, leverage kind of stuff.
I do think there's a lot more potential to do stuff with the ETH than they seem prepared to do.
Right.
So, for example, you can stake it, fine, but you can also put it in DeFi.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have 5 million ETH and you're putting it in DeFi, you might be able to attach strings to that. And you might say, well, Aave, I'm willing to put a bunch into Aave here at a certain, down to a certain rate. if you give me Aave tokens or something, right? Like I want to have shared success here. You could ask for kickbacks. You could ask for that type of thing. You could also, it's not considered insider trading to buy the token of a platform and then put a bunch of money into the platform. Like, BlackRock just did that with the Biddle fund on Uniswap X, right? They bought some Uni tokens. So if you're going to be pumping up the fundamental numbers, and that's going to drive up the price of a token, right? You can buy that token, quintuple the amount of AUM and the adoption of that platform you're about to use, and then watch the token price pump, and then sell that token 5x your investment, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a lot more he could be doing, both to build the DeFi ecosystem into something more coherent. Think of like a Frax style play where they really try to serve like a glue and bind all this stuff together under a Frax umbrella, or under a Frax kind of like hub and spoke, where Frax is at the hub level of it. They try to do things like that. I think Tom Lee could do something very similar for DeFi, to try and make a coherent architecture and substrate and plug things together and get better integration, and tokenomic alignment between synergistic protocols. But I just don't think he's not me. I don't think he sees that. I don't think he'd know how to execute it.
Yeah.
I think he's going to do staking.
You should call
I think
him.
he's going to do TradFi things, right? So I think he understands things like, okay, we can take a stock, and not only can we turn into a digital token, we can fragment that stock into the different subsectors. So if I want to take Microsoft stock, I might be able to take just the Microsoft Office section of Microsoft and put that into a token, right? And I might be able to take just the Xbox section, put that into a token, and allow these things to float independently of the base stock. So we can do fun financial tricks of that type. I do know that the main thing he's worried about is keeping the volume on the BitMine stock up, because with the revenue that they have and high volume and high market cap, he qualifies for a bunch of index funds. And so when you get in the Russell 1000, then you get a bunch of people that are buying BitMine without discretion. Right? They're just pointing at the stock market overall. And now you have a whole new class of buyer for the BitMine stock to take that MNAV back to above 1.
Oh, just like a lazy investment tool, like you're just buying an index.
Yeah, people just buy like the S&P 500. People just buy the Russell 1000. People just buy a tech sector
Gotcha.
ETF, right? So he's going to, according to him, he's going to qualify for dozens of those this year. And if he can get included in dozens of ETFs of that nature, where, I mean, if you're dealing with like a national, take like Norway, and they've got their investment fund as a country, they don't just usually invest in a company, right? A lot of their investments are like, we're going to buy a asset class, right? We're going to invest in a sector and in entire nationalities, right? The decisions they're making with the money aren't subject to corruption, because they're being made at a broader level, rather than in individual investment in individual company that could be for any type of the wrong reason, right? So you take, national wealth funds, and you take pensions from like Harvard or something, and you take, all the people that are lazy as investors, and now suddenly they become buyers of Bitminer.
Yeah.
Right. And that is obviously going to create inflows of USD to the stock price. If that can get the NMAV back above 1, he can get back to buying. But all he has to maintain to get included is interest in the stock, which means volume. So he goes on and he claims there's a lot of volume. Every time he talks about the company, he goes on with these volume figures. And that's why, because he's trying to get the stock included in these indices to attract a new category of buyer and get them essentially ETH exposure. And
didn't BlackRock just buy? They just bought, was it 250 million shares of BitMine stock?
Something like that. And I know ARK Invest, right? Kathy Woods.
Yeah, ARK did
they've been
too.
buying, right? So, but those are individual companies making these deals, and I'm happy he has those buyers. I'm more excited about someone who's never even heard of BitMine.
Exactly.
Who is going to end up holding ETH now, ETH exposure
Right.
to normies. And
well, the only reason I
interesting-
mentioned those was because they are supporting the volume that you're talking about.
and they are.
So
But
that's
they-
part of the story. I get your point where
and,
it's like,
and their purchases are supporting the MNAV,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
The reason he was able to acquire. So, right. So yes, they're of course they're part of the story, but they're less part of the story for this year or for next year.
right.
But I think the larger point for BitMine is that because they're not a crypto ETF, they're a technology company. They get included in baskets of technology companies, but they're basically just an ETH MNAV, right? So now you have a bunch of technology company holders that suddenly have ETH exposure that they otherwise couldn't even legally buy as part of their fund or as part of their a company treasury, right? You can't just go out and buy. Microsoft can go and buy OpenAI shares, but they can't just go buy gold. Like
Yeah.
There's limits to how they can use their treasury set forth by the board and by the shareholders that appointed them. So there's entire categories of buyers of ETH through BitMine as a proxy, which could not otherwise buy ETH. And I find that exciting.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be fun to watch. Like, I don't know. It's a weird, like this bear market, the way this thing feels. Maybe it's because I've been through so many of them. It's just going to be interesting, I think, 6 months to a year from now, if there's, pending no, like you said, macro going to war with Iran or some kind of other thing out there. I feel like the churn is here, and hopefully this is kind of a soft. I want to be with Benito 2030 on their post. I want to see it. I want to see it in the rearview mirror. Was he right? And I think he makes some good points here. So I'm glad that he made it to the weekly list.
I'm glad someone's posting something bullish.
Yeah, somebody's posting something bullish. I tell you,
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Just the token effort. Let's keep. I'm not going to bash people because they have a little hopium left in them. I really want to be with you.
Yep. Amen.
Otherwise, the daily gets too glum, and we've had some glum dailies.
Yeah.
Past cycle.
It's like, oh, mercy me. User KevKillerKE shares a good post on the upcoming Rocket Pool upgrade. We kind of went over this already. Another Duder number 1 making it to the list. Great job. Woo. Man, this is like 4 Duder number 1s making it to the weekly list. That's fantastic.
It's a good week.
It's a very good week, and this is very helpful information. And once again, reiterating our appreciation for Jasper the Friendly Ghost dropping by to share us this Medium article and other upgrade information regarding the Saturn upgrade for Rocket Pool.
Yeah, let's get Jasper on to talk about that one, right? Or let's get Langers on or someone. I got plenty of conversation topics when it comes to Rocket Pool about things they've done, and things they can do next, and why they haven't done some of these things.
I think we're going to try to schedule a special episode next week. B Broad's in the audience. I think we should try to get Jasper on as soon as maybe Tuesday evening next week. When does this go live? Let's see. Maybe we'd figure out that date. And February 18th. So according to my swatch, that would be Wednesday. So maybe we might need to do like a Monday evening or a Tuesday evening, depending on his schedule and how freaking busy he is in the evenings, or I don't know, maybe make it during the day. I'll reach out to him. I think it'd be nice to try to give as much exposure and conversation as possible to that community. And Logri the Bard will coordinate schedules, make sure that you can come on board and talk to. Also, shout out to our Discord audience. Tax Exempt is hanging out with us down in the chat. You raise your hand, sir, if you want to jump on stage, if you got anything to say, because I've been in communication with Tax Exempted. We're going to get him on a podcast in the future to talk about the product that he's got going on. It's a really cool, like Discord, ENS, NFT integration for verifying and doing a bunch of different things. So that'll come soon enough. But if you have anything you want to jump in or add on today's show, just raise your hand. User ETH2353 shares a key consideration for anyone looking to tax optimize their staking rewards. User E2353 is a Duder 64. I'm not an accountant or tax advisor. I've been maintaining ethstaker.tax for years. Wow, really? That's you, babe? Oh, man. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to put your Duder score is going to include that information. Okay, so now I've got a note on you, my friend. I'm glad. Thank you for your service. But anyway, yeah, you can add, looks like you can add all of your Rocket Pool validators or just your regular validators. And wow, that's cool. Let's see. Let's read the rest of the post here before I get on myself. I've been maintaining ethstaker.tax for years, so I consider myself to have a pretty decent understanding. With staking, you have two choices when it comes to taxing the staking rewards. You either pay capital gains tax on the increase of your non-rebasing liquid staking token, such as RETH, wrapped steth or steth, and OSETH. Income tax, or here's the other one, income tax on regularly distributed staking rewards, native solo staking, such as Stakewise vaults in Steve. I don't know how well Coinly handles each of these, though I do know you can export your daily rewards as a CSV from the Stakewise user interface. Which of those options is more tax efficient depends on your country's tax code. So going back to ethstaker.tax, not a sponsor, but a friend of the show. ethstaker.tax is looking for maintainers if you speak Python, understand Ethereum validators, and would like to help keep this website alive. Please reach out to them. Very good. Please note, 2025 will be the last officially supported year by the current maintainers. Anyway, so it looks like you can add your validators by index, public key, by your deposit address, or by your Rocket Pool node address. You pop that in there, and it'll probably give you some idea of what to expect for paying or reporting your taxes. So thank you to ETH2353, OG, Duder number 64 for this week for some great information and a little tool that you can use to keep the three-letter agencies from getting into your life. All right, user Cotmine Netchup asks where the community went and gets a great answer from user Yeopa and Bob Rossi. I'm going to open up all, these are all OG accounts for sure. Cotmine Netchup this week is a Duder number 6. Yeopa is a Duder number 13. And Bob Rossi is a Duder number 65. This is going to be the last post for this Doots show here, so listen up. Cotmine Netchup says, I've been here a long time through many ups, and it feels more like downs. The more noticeable difference is the lack of community. We always had a big, thriving community before, even during the downturns. I have to admit, I myself stepped away from crypto Reddit over the years because focusing on price action all the time was too stressful and bad for my mental health. Maybe that's just what others have done. I don't know. But I do have to ask, where did the community go? It was always my safety net, knowing there were so many people excited about how Ethereum could change the world and working on so many cool ideas. Did that dry up, or did the activity just move somewhere else? Yeopa responds, we lost a lot of users in protest after Reddit announced their API changes. That's a fact. We also lost a lot to crypto Twitter. Many still hang out in the EV Mavericks Discord, but for the most part, the API protest was the real community fracture. I wholeheartedly agree. As for people being excited about ETH's potential or being bullish, ever since we merged here, we've had months upon months upon months of bearish trolls posting together and downvoting anything positive. It only recently begun to let up a bit. It seems the same handful of people have become more quiet, but the current price action is bringing out a new type of negativity. fear and regret. I think a lot of old posters are still here, just lurking. I'm going to push back on this a little bit, Yeopa, and I can speak to this as a moderator. I've seen a lot of our OG friends from ETH Trader and ETH Finance days. They are some of the bears now, and I've seen a lot of OG people. They've basically sold and moved on. They've become so kind of soured by the price action. They've kind of lost conviction, and they kind of see the world speed running towards centralization and privacy loss anyway. They're kind of giving up a little, if I could just put it bluntly. And so I don't think it's necessarily like when ETH Finance moved to our Ethereum. I mean, there was a higher percentage of bearish posters for sure, but we've handled as a moderator the best we can a lot of that stuff. But it's just kind of hard to be totally rainbows and unicorns when we've lagged in every metric price wise against absolute utter shit tokens and Bitcoin, and so. It's really hard to express how much that just kind of demoralized people. And I guess to add to your point, I do wish we had more builders coming in and sharing things. We tried to do like a weekly thread that was dedicated to builders. We tried it on ETH Finance, and it was just, man, once that API got pulled, there was just so much less action. A lot of people have moved on to Farcaster. They've moved on to X. They've moved on to their own little bubbles on Discord. And a lot of them, frankly, are builders, and they're employed, and they're too busy to be around anymore. They appreciated their roots. Like people change. I feel like every 5 to 7 years, people just kind of change into a new person, and their interests change. I mean, a lot of the bull posting people that I remember were, they were early 20 somethings in college, some of them. And now those people have children, families, and they matured beyond the asset, if that makes sense. And a lot of people bought houses and bought a car or got a different job and out of the space and moved on. I mean, never underestimate how bad a bear market and how bad a social media network decision to remove the API and screw up all those two things right there, just the grind. A lot of people just gave up. They don't want to round trip again. They don't want to try to make it long term.
There was a couple years there where anything I'd see on crypto Twitter or on Reddit just felt overwhelmingly negative on ETH.
Yeah.
But I'd go to a conference and it would just be this vibrant action of builders that are all still very excited. And I get these 2017 vibes.
Mm-hmm.
But even at conferences, the view is much more subdued there.
And they're on Telegram at the conferences. I noticed that too.
Yeah.
Some of the most incredible builders and whatnot, they never even considered, or they used to be on Reddit, but now they're just a Telegram nerd because that's where people do things.
Well, that's where the network of people that they've met at conferences that are worth talking to are. Mm-hmm. So I'm in a bunch of Telegram groups of builders in the AI space, or
there you go,
people that take privacy very seriously. So you get these kind of focus groups of people that are interested in little topics. You'll get like 50 of them in a Telegram group, right?
Yeah.
And then that becomes a news feed for me on that topic. Which is different than like Discord, where it's not a topic-based thing, it's a project-based thing. So it'd be like, oh, you've got the Convex Discord or whatever, right? Every protocol has its own, but it's not like that's focused on yield farming as a topic, right? It's specifically one project. So Telegram has a bunch of those groups that become kind of my news feed on these special topics. And yeah, a lot of those people, they're not on crypto Twitter. They don't want the toxicity. They don't want the feed that it's giving them isn't helping them in any way. So they're taking the best they can get out of social media, but they're not coming to Reddit either, right? And it's not like I'm going to pressure them over to there. So yeah, I guess my larger point is what I led with, which is that even at conferences, people are less enthusiastic, vibrant. Like, I'm not saying there isn't still optimism there. It's just it used to kind of bubble over into your soul, and now it's, yeah, I'm going over to this event and we're gonna have like our little rave, go get some free donuts here, get a backpack, talk, meet these people. We're kind of
Socks.
going through motions. You're trying to meet the people that can help you grow your project, because a lot of people at these conferences are builders of something, right? That's why they're willing to pay the money to get a hotel room and fly out there. They want something from the conference. So there's just a lot of networking that happens. And some of it feels kind of like cooperation. Some of it feels kind of like competition. I definitely have some ideological friends that I've made over the years, these conferences. But what's missing is just the optimism, right? It's more mercenary, it's more business, it's more, it's more everyone's trying to get something out of it, rather than everyone's being amazed at the potential and how great things are going to be, and look at all the use cases that we can go out into the world and affect to make better, right? Used to be like, oh, we're going to change invoicing, and then Request Network would explode. No, we're going to change payments, and the Misago would explode. And oh, we're going to change IP, and Poet Project or something would explode. And oh, we're going to, right? It was all these use cases that were just like these ideas that blockchain could help with. And now we're 8 years later, and my mom's not using any of this.
Right. Hey.
So what's going to happen is we're going to DeFi mold it. We're going to get some institutions that she already uses, and they're going to shove her money into DeFi, give her an extra 0.5% or whatever, claim another skim 2 or 3% for themselves, and that's going to be the net result of her life. Another 0.5% APR, and the rich get richer.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I do think that searching for the next killer app or the killer wave is also the thing that spawned a lot of interest on Reddit, because I mean, when the food tokens or whatever, those ICO days were coming around, there was just this constant churn of explosion of like opportunities.
Yeah,
the shitcoin roulette
can have gotten worse, right? So the high float tokens,
it's
VCs
like we've all seen this before. We know how this game ends with this shit.
Things don't launch.
Right.
Things don't launch at a valuation that leaves a huge amount of upside where you can go and make your 100x like you could during the ICO phase, right? Yeah. Things are launching at actually valuations much saner to their current fundamentals, which, like, fine, that's a healthy market structure, but it's hard to get excited, going into a token sale, something like Aztec, when, it's already pretty close to its fundamental valuation. You come back 3 weeks later and it's down 50% from the ICO price. And you're like, okay,
yeah,
that, it's just not as exciting.
Okay. Well, then I didn't get to Bob Rossi's response. So again, just to recap, we're talking about where the community went, talking about Ethereum community on Reddit specifically. And then Yahoo had their thing. And then Bob Rossi, who I completely respect when they speak, he says, I'm here, air quote, today, but usually I'm not. So here is one data point for you. I just left, but I didn't go anywhere else. I know a lot went to Twitter and Discord and whatever, but I never bothered. Like you, there is an element of self-preservation. I have a life to live and an anxiety-riddled brain to protect. And if it's any attestation to once this community has been, I genuinely felt like shit reading about all the hacks and failed goals and terrible trades that people I knew, air quote, that were going through. I feel like it's some crypto subreddit version of the kids aren't all right. And it's depressing to see. The spark is gone due to numerous other factors. The price doesn't help, but the ratio cuts even worse. Everything that made me excited tech-wise years ago either hasn't happened or not to any meaningful scale, or happened and not much has taken its place. And the amount of grifting is starting to give me the where we the baddies all along vibes. And frankly, I'm just older. Perspectives change, and in some ways I got bored. Why stick around when 2/3 of the familiar faces are gone? It's like some nursing home energy, sitting around with old friends wondering who's going to die next. That sentence right there is kind of my point from earlier. Frankly, I'm just older. Perspectives change, and in some ways I got bored. I feel like people just kind of reinvent themselves over time, and what once interested them is no longer. So yeah, that's kind of a downer note to end the show with. But there's some truth to it that's kind of undeniable. It's like, what does it take to bring people back? I've been doing this show. We're on episode 140. I feel like Tricky Troll has done the Daily Doots for 1,350 days now. We've had more new duders this last week than we've had in a long time. So in some ways, I feel like suck it up, Buttercup. Try to be the change you want to see. Get in the daily. Post more often, which I need to do myself. I get it. You get a little bit burnt listening to it. But, the beauty in our community has always been the replies. I feel like that's one thing. I've seen a lot of people thank the EV Mavericks for these older generation of people was that their replies were so strong. And I think that the fact that a lot of EV Mavericks have moved out has been beneficial, getting the EV Mavericks and the Ethereum world of Reddit out there on the other channels. It would be nice to see some of them come back and help reform some of the narratives that get thrown around a lot. But again, to their point, long-term price action, the ratio, those kind of things beat a person down over time, because the way the trajectory you think you're on ends up being a left turn or a right turn you weren't anticipating. It just matters how long you want to stay on the ride. Because I think when you look at this show and you look at the weekly Doots and what gets duded and spoken about, there's plenty of things in this episode here that, ending on that note right there, doesn't really do justice for the previous 9 posts that were talking about real things like product development with Rocket Pool, right? The idea that this might be a more moderate bear market. And then talking about like the various macro things that do impact the price that are kind of out of our control, that are much bigger than crypto itself, right? And we've got people like AB Kothup that's still producing a weekly newsletter now that Week in Ethereum has been retired by Evan Van Ness. And then you got User Spection is a duder number 1 that has got a Lens app development, which looks like a social media platform on Ethereum. And I think then you go all the way back to the beginning of the episode and you look at all the activity on the layer 2s. Just because people aren't talking about it on social media don't mean people aren't building, right? There's stuff being done, and it's massive. And I think just the fact that just going again back to Tom Lee, putting his money where his mouth is, along with a lot of other people. And what Logri was saying about, hey, we're really pretty close to this just being a lazy institutional investment asset that lazy, when you're an employee at a company, Bob and Alice sit down with the investment strategist and they're like, do you want a low risk, a medium risk, or a high risk option, right? They don't care if Ethereum is in there or not, right? Especially if stuff like, Tom Lee's Bitminer gets on those lists, the indice funds, like Wall Street's doing shit. Like, I can't imagine that like 5-10 years from now that we were so depressed. The narrative will shift, and it just ebbs and flows. It took a long time for the internet to mature into these products and use cases that we see today, right? It's kind of like what I was saying earlier. The data infrastructure and the companies that are building the big data centers, they might be in a bubble, but all those companies that are going to be using it are on the up and up. And now what do we have? Ethereum has been built. Okay, so the asset maybe isn't worth as much, but the companies that are building on it are certainly going to have to consider using it as part of their treasuries long term, right? Because there is that aspect of the narrative of the store of value needs to come back. And it looks like, I don't know. I feel like the institutions are keeping the worst news on the front page so they can stack as long as possible, right? I just
tinfoil hattery. I see.
That's me.
I don't think they'll go into that much effort.
I don't know.
That they're just like, Tempo's gonna make a stable coin chain over here, and BlackRock's gonna launch their BUIDL thing and buy some Uni tokens and put it on Uniswap X. And this next guy's over going to do something with RWAs, like Robinhood's going to launch its Arbitrum chain and get some private equity tokens that have never been accessible to retail and make those, even though they're private equity, now available for public trading. Right? We're going to get financial overhauls that improve the uptime, lower the costs, reduce risks, delete unnecessary intermediaries, and destroy unnecessary, TradFi leeches. We're just going to quietly make new products and new offerings.
Yeah.
And people are going to be so tuned out and so focused on negative price action. They're just not paying attention to the more exciting things.
Yeah.
Where there are points of light, we're just not spending as much of our attention on that as, a firm in China got liquidated on a silver trade. And now we're all set.
Yeah. And to your point, people need to invest and use the things that they are claiming there's so many people out there that are like, we need to break out of X, right? We need to break out of these institutions that are taking our data and And it's like, yeah, well, let's focus on some zero knowledge stuff being built on Ethereum and let's do it. Let's break out. Stop bitching about it and start building it, right? And start using the tools that are like we use Farcaster as much as feasible now. And we've been talking about them a couple of times. Yeah, I don't know if that's a great example, but at least it's not nothing, right? So trying to figure out how do we take this gift that's in the world, build the tools that are going to be usable, and start moving there. If we're worried about Discord ID verifications, we may have to move this off of Discord eventually because Discord is doing this privacy invasion crap where they need all this KYC for a chat app. And it's like, no, we got to use the tools that are in front of us to break out of this loop. And anyway, that's my rant. I'm going to jump off here. Luggery, any other parting comments?
Nope, just stay positive. It's been a good week for comments.
Hey,
been good community content this week.
Yeah, very good community content. Again, shout out to all of our weekly duders. Appreciate everybody hanging out today. Make sure you sub and smash the bells. You can stick around after the live stream a little bit. We might still be talking. We may not be, but hey, whatever the case, find us wherever you find your podcast at dailydoots.com. On behalf of the EV Mavericks Discord and our Ethereum Daily General Discussion, my name is JT. Cheers, big hugs from Kansas City.